Kang Ha-neul was yelled at in the rain, but his next act brought everyone to tears. The downpour started subtly, a gentle patter against the sole asphalt, almost romantic. But within minutes, it transformed into a furious deluge, a grey curtain blurring the neon signs of Gangnam. Kang Ha-neul, the celebrated actor, hunched deeper into his worn leather jacket, the collar pulled high against the biting wind. He was late. Terribly late. He'd promised to be at the Han River Hope Shelter by 6 p.m. to volunteer, a commitment he made months ago amidst the whirlwind of press junkets and filming schedules. A commitment he fiercely intended to keep. But the unexpected gridlock on the Olympic Expressway, a snarled mess of taillights reflecting in the slick streets, had conspired against him. He finally arrived at the shelter, a modest building tucked away from the glittering skyscrapers, 20 minutes past the hour. The rain was relentless, plastering his hair to his forehead, his clothes clinging uncomfortably. He rushed towards the entrance, a knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. Standing under the meager shelter of the awning, her arms crossed tightly against her chest, was Miss Park, the shelter director. Her face, usually etched with kindness, was drawn in tight with frustration. The flickering fluorescent light above cast harsh shadows, accentuating the lines around her eyes. Kang Ha-neul SSI. Her voice, amplified by the echoing space, cut through the drumming rain. It wasn't a greeting, it was an accusation. He stopped dead in his tracks, the weight of her disappointment crushing him. Miss Park, I am so sorry. The traffic. 20 minutes, Ha-neul SSI. 20 minutes late. On a night like this. When we need every hand we can get. Her voice rose with each word, tinged with exhaustion and a simmering anger. We have families here, soaked to the bone, waiting for a warm meal and a dry place to sleep. Do you think they care about your traffic? He flinched. He knew she was right. His fame, his excuses, meant nothing in the face of genuine need. I understand, Ms. Park. I truly am sorry. He tried to meet her gaze, but couldn't. The shame was a physical weight. Understand? Do you really? Because understanding means being here, on time, when you said you would be. We had volunteers cancel at the last minute, relying on your commitment. And now, she trailed off, shaking her head, the rain beating on her soaked hair. Look, I know an apology isn't enough, but I'm here now. Tell me what to do. I'll stay as long as you need me to. He pleaded, his voice barely audible above the storm. Miss Park stared at him for a long, agonizing moment. The silence was broken only by the relentless drumming of the rain and the distant wail of a siren. Finally, she sighed, the anger seeming to drain out of her. Just go inside. There's a family with 2 young children shivering in the corner. Get them some blankets and hot chocolate. And then we'll figure out what else needs to be done. Her voice was softer now, laced with weariness. He nodded, relief washing over him. He turned to head inside, but Miss Park stopped him again. And Ha-neul SSI? He turned back, bracing himself for another reprimand. Don't let it happen again. He nodded again, a silent promise etched on his face. The interior of the shelter was a chaotic symphony of human suffering and quiet resilience. Families huddled together, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. Children clung to their parents, their eyes wide with fear. The air was thick with the smell of damp clothes and desperation. He found the family Miss Park had mentioned huddled in a corner, the mother trying to shield her 2 young children from the cold. He approached them hesitantly, offering a warm smile. Hello. I'm Kang Ha-neul. I'm here to help. The mother looked up, her eyes filled with suspicion. He recognized the look, he'd seen it countless times in the faces of those who had been let down too many times. He gently offered the blankets and hot chocolate. The children, their eyes wide with curiosity, reached out for the steaming mugs. As he helped them wrap the blankets around their small shoulders, he felt a flicker of purpose ignite within him. This was real. This mattered. He spent the next few hours working tirelessly, helping to distribute food, clean up spills, and comfort those who were struggling. He listened to their stories, their fears, their hopes. He learned about their lives, their struggles, their dreams. He saw the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable hardship. As the night wore on, the rain began to subside. The storm, both outside and inside the shelter, slowly began to calm. Around 2 a.m., as he was helping to mop up a puddle of water, he noticed a young girl sitting alone in a corner, drawing on a piece of paper with a broken crayon. He recognized her. She was one of the children from the family he had helped earlier. He knelt down beside her, his knees cracking in protest. "What are you drawing?" he asked gently. The girl looked up, her eyes wide and innocent. She held up the drawing, a crude but heartfelt depiction of a smiling family standing under a rainbow. "It's my family," she said softly. "And you? You're the rainbow." He stared at the drawing, his heart swelling with emotion. He didn't know what to say. He was just a man, a flawed and imperfect man who had made a mistake. He didn't deserve such praise. He gently took the drawing from her hand, his fingers trembling slightly. He looked at the girl, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the overhead light. "It's beautiful," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." He stood up, his legs feeling weak. He walked over to Miss Park, who was sitting at a desk, her face etched with exhaustion. "Miss Park," he said, his voice barely a whisper. I need to do more." Miss Park looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "What do you mean, Ha-neul SSI?" He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "I want to help. I want to use my platform to raise awareness about the shelter, to raise money, to help these families get back on their feet. I want to be more than just a celebrity who shows up for a photo op. I want to make a real difference." Miss Park stared at him for a long moment, her eyes searching his. Finally, she smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile that reached all the way to her eyes. "I believe you, Ha-neul SSI," she said softly. "I really do." And then, in a moment that would be forever etched in the memories of everyone present, Kang Ha-neul did something unexpected. He pulled out his phone and started a live stream. He spoke directly to his millions of followers, his voice raw with emotion. He told them about the shelter, about the families who were struggling, about the incredible work that Ms. Park and her team were doing. He shared the girl's drawing, holding it up for the world to see. He didn't ask for sympathy. He asked for action. He asked for donations. He asked for volunteers. He asked for people to open their hearts and their wallets to help those in need. And the world responded. Within minutes, donations poured in. Volunteers signed up. Celebrities retweeted his message. News outlets picked up the story. The hashtag Han River Hope Shelter started trending worldwide. The response was overwhelming. It was a testament to the power of compassion, the power of connection, the power of one person to make a difference. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the city, Kang Ha-neul stood outside the shelter, watching as volunteers arrived with food, clothing, and supplies. He saw the smiles on the faces of the families, the hope in their eyes. He knew that he had made a difference. He knew that he had turned a moment of shame into a moment of redemption. He knew that he had finally found his purpose. But the most profound moment came later that day. He was inside, helping to sort through donations, when he heard a soft sob. He turned to see Miss Park standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. He rushed over to her, his heart filled with concern. "Miss Park, what's wrong?" She shook her head, unable to speak. She simply pointed to a television screen. On the screen was a news report about the shelter. The reporter was interviewing a woman, a former resident of the shelter who had been helped to get back on her feet. The woman was speaking about the kindness and compassion she had received at the shelter. She was talking about how the shelter had given her hope when she had lost everything. And then, she said something that brought everyone in the room to tears. "I don't know what I would have done without this place," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "They saved my life. They gave me a second chance. They showed me that I wasn't alone." Miss Park turned to Kang Ha-neul, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Ha-neul SSI, she said softly. You've given them all a second chance. Kang Ha-neul looked around the room, at the faces of the families, at the faces of the volunteers, at the faces of the staff. He saw the hope, the resilience, the love. He knew that he had been yelled at in the rain. He knew that he had made a mistake. But he also knew that his next act had brought everyone to tears. Tears of sadness, tears of joy, tears of gratitude. And in that moment, he understood the true meaning of fame. It wasn't about the awards, the recognition, the money. It was about using your platform to make a difference, to help those in need, to spread hope and love to the world. He smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile that reached all the way to his eyes. He knew that his journey was just beginning. He knew that there was still much work to be done. But he also knew that he was on the right path. He was Kang Ha-neul, and he was here to help. The rain had stopped. The sun was shining. And the world was a little bit brighter. The aftermath of that night was a whirlwind. Kang Ha-neul found himself juggling filming schedules with volunteer commitments, press interviews with fundraising events. He became the face of the Han River Hope Shelter, a role he embraced with every fiber of his being. His agency, initially hesitant about his involvement, quickly realized the positive impact it had on his image. Endorsement deals poured in, but Ha-neul insisted that a portion of his earnings be donated to the shelter. He used his influence to promote other charitable causes, inspiring a wave of philanthropy among his peers. However, the path wasn't without its challenges. Some criticized him, accusing him of using the shelter for publicity. Others questioned his motives, suggesting that he was simply trying to repair his image after the initial incident with Ms. Park. Ha-neul ignored the negativity. He knew his intentions were pure, and he was determined to stay focused on his goal, to help as many people as possible. He found solace in the faces of the families he was helping, in their stories of resilience and hope. One day, a few months after the initial storm, Ha-neul received a call from Ms. Park. Her voice was filled with excitement. Ha-neul SSI, we did it. We secured funding for a new building. A larger, more modern facility that can accommodate even more families. Ha-neul felt a surge of joy. He had played a part in making this happen, and it filled him with immense pride. The grand opening of the new shelter was a momentous occasion. Celebrities, politicians, and community leaders gathered to celebrate the achievement. Ha-neul stood beside Ms. Park, beaming with pride as she cut the ribbon. During the ceremony, a young boy approached Ha-neul, clutching a drawing in his hand. It was the same girl who had given him the rainbow drawing on that fateful night. "Appa," she said shyly, "I drew you another picture." Ha-neul knelt down and took the drawing. It was a picture of the new shelter, with a bright sun shining overhead. In the corner, the girl had drawn a small rainbow. "It's beautiful," Ha-neul said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." As he looked at the drawing, he realized that he had come full circle. He had started as a flawed and imperfect man, someone who had made a mistake and been publicly reprimanded. But he had used that experience to learn and grow, to become a better person. He had turned a moment of shame into a moment of redemption, and in doing so, he had inspired countless others. Later that evening, after the ceremony had ended and the crowds had dispersed, Ha-neul found himself alone with Ms. Park. They stood on the rooftop of the new shelter, overlooking the city. "You know, Ha-neul SSI," Ms. Park said softly, "I was very angry with you that night. I thought you had let us down." Ha-neul nodded, acknowledging her words. "But you showed me that I was wrong," she continued. "You turned a negative situation into something truly remarkable. You have made a real difference in the lives of so many people." Ha-neul smiled. "I couldn't have done it without you, Ms. Park. You taught me the true meaning of compassion and service." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the city lights twinkle below. The rain was long gone, replaced by a clear, star-filled sky. "So," Ms. Park said, breaking the silence, "what's next for Kang Ha-neul?" Ha-neul looked at her, a spark of determination in his eyes. "I'm not sure," he said. "But I know that I want to continue to use my platform to help others. I want to be a voice for the voiceless, a champion for the underdog. I want to make the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time. Ms. Park smiled. I have no doubt that you will, Ha-neul SSI. I have no doubt at all. He spent the next few years continuing his acting career while dedicating a significant portion of his time to philanthropic endeavors. He established a foundation in his name, focusing on supporting underprivileged children and providing access to education. He traveled the world, visiting refugee camps, hospitals, and schools, using his influence to raise awareness and inspire action. He never forgot the night he was yelled at in the rain. It served as a constant reminder of the importance of humility, empathy, and the power of second chances. Years later, Kang Ha-neul received a prestigious award for his humanitarian work. During his acceptance speech, he recounted the story of that rainy night, acknowledging Ms. Park and the Han River Hope Shelter for changing his life. That night, he said, his voice filled with emotion, I learned that true success is not measured by fame or fortune, but by the impact we have on the lives of others. I am grateful for the opportunity to use my platform to make a difference, and I promise to continue to do so for as long as I live. The audience rose to their feet, applauding his words. He looked out at the crowd, his heart filled with gratitude. He had come a long way from that rainy night in Seoul. He had transformed from a celebrity into a humanitarian, from a flawed individual into a role model. And as he stood on that stage, bathed in the warm glow of the spotlight, he knew that he had finally found his true calling. He was Kang Ha-neul, and he was here to serve. His next act, and every act thereafter, would be dedicated to making the world a better place, one act of kindness, one act of compassion, one act of love at a time. The tears that night, and all the tears that followed, were a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a spirit that could be broken by the storm, but ultimately, rebuilt by the rainbow. The years that followed were a testament to Kang Ha-neul's unwavering commitment. His foundation flourished, expanding its reach to support initiatives across the globe. He became a sought-after speaker, sharing his story and inspiring others to embrace philanthropy. He used his acting roles to highlight social issues, choosing projects that resonated with his values and sparked conversations about important topics. He never forgot Ms. Park, remaining a close friend and advisor to the Han River Hope Shelter. He visited regularly, spending time with the families and volunteers, offering encouragement and support. He witnessed firsthand the transformative power of the shelter, seeing countless lives changed for the better. One crisp autumn evening, years after the opening of the new shelter, Kang Ha-neul received an unexpected invitation. He was asked to attend a small, private gathering at the Blue House, the presidential residence. He was told only that the president wished to express his gratitude for Ha-neul's contributions to Korean society. Intrigued and slightly nervous, Ha-neul accepted the invitation. He arrived at the Blue House, dressed in a simple suit, feeling a world away from the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry. He was ushered into a grand reception room, where a small group of people were gathered. He recognized several prominent figures in Korean politics and business. And then, he saw her. Ms. Park stood near the president, her face beaming with pride. She was wearing a traditional hanbok, her silver hair neatly arranged. The president approached Ha-neul, extending his hand. Kang Ha-neul SSI, it is an honor to finally meet you. Your work has touched the lives of so many Koreans, and your dedication to philanthropy is an inspiration to us all. Ha-neul bowed respectfully. Thank you, Mr. President. I am simply trying to do my part. The president smiled. You have done far more than your part. You have shown us the true meaning of citizenship. He then turned to Ms. Park. I understand that Ms. Park played a significant role in your journey. She did, Mr. President, Ha-neul replied, his voice filled with gratitude. She taught me everything I know about compassion and service. The president nodded. Then it is fitting that she should be the one to present you with this. He gestured to an aide, who stepped forward with a small, velvet box. The president opened the box, revealing a gleaming medal. Kang Ha-neul SSI, the president announced, his voice filled with emotion, on behalf of the people of Korea, I am honored to present you with the National Medal of Honor, for your outstanding contributions to society and your unwavering commitment to helping those in need. Ha-neul was speechless. He had never expected such recognition. He looked at Ms. Park, her eyes shining with tears. She stepped forward and gently pinned the medal on his lapel. "I am so proud of you, Ha-neul SSI," she whispered. He looked at the medal, its golden surface reflecting the light. It was a symbol of his journey, a testament to the power of redemption and the enduring impact of kindness. Later that evening, as he drove home, Ha-neul reflected on the events of the day. He had come a long way from that rainy night in Seoul. He had faced criticism and doubt, but he had persevered, driven by his desire to make a difference. He thought about the young girl who had given him the rainbow drawing, the families he had helped, the volunteers who had dedicated their time and energy to the shelter. He realized that he was not alone. He was part of a community of people who believed in the power of compassion, who were committed to creating a better world. He pulled over to the side of the road, his heart overflowing with gratitude. He looked up at the night sky, filled with stars. He remembered the words of the young girl, "You're the rainbow." He smiled. He knew that he was not the only rainbow. There were countless others, shining brightly in the darkness, offering hope and inspiration to those in need. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He knew that his journey was far from over. There was still much work to be done. But he was ready. He was Kang Ha-neul, and he was here to serve. He started the car and drove on, his heart filled with purpose. The night was dark, but the future was bright. He was a rainbow, and he was determined to keep shining. Years passed. Kang Ha-neul continued his philanthropic work, his foundation growing into a global force for good. He traveled to war-torn countries, providing aid to refugees and advocating for peace. He supported educational initiatives in underserved communities, empowering young people to pursue their dreams. He became a voice for the voiceless, a champion for the marginalized. He never sought recognition for his efforts, but his impact was undeniable. He inspired countless others to embrace philanthropy, creating a ripple effect of kindness that spread across the world. One day, Ha-neul received a call from the United Nations. He was invited to address the General Assembly, to share his story and to inspire world leaders to take action on global issues. He accepted the invitation, knowing that it was an opportunity to reach a global audience and to amplify the voices of those who were often unheard. He stood before the General Assembly, his heart filled with emotion. He spoke about the importance of compassion, empathy, and collaboration. He shared the story of the Han River Hope Shelter, the rainy night, and the transformative power of second chances. He challenged world leaders to put aside their differences and to work together to create a more just and equitable world. He urged them to prioritize the needs of the most vulnerable, to invest in education, healthcare, and sustainable development. His speech was met with thunderous applause. World leaders from across the globe rose to their feet, inspired by his words. In the days that followed, Ha-neul's speech sparked a global conversation about philanthropy and social responsibility. Governments, businesses, and individuals pledged to increase their support for charitable causes. New initiatives were launched to address pressing global issues. Kang Ha-neul had become a global icon, a symbol of hope and inspiration. He had transformed from a celebrity into a humanitarian, from a flawed individual into a force for good. But despite his global recognition, he remained humble and grounded. He never forgot his roots, never forgot the lessons he had learned from Ms. Park and the families at the Han River Hope Shelter. He continued to visit the shelter regularly, spending time with the families and volunteers, offering encouragement and support. He knew that his journey had started there, and he would never forget the people who had helped him along the way. One evening, as he was leaving the shelter, he noticed a young boy sitting alone on a bench, staring up at the night sky. Ha-neul recognized him. He was the son of one of the families who had recently arrived at the shelter. Ha-neul sat down beside him. "What are you looking at?" he asked gently. The boy pointed to the sky. "The stars," he said softly. "They're so far away." Ha-neul smiled. "Yes, they are. But they're also very bright. And they're always there, even when we can't see them." The boy looked at Ha-neul, his eyes filled with curiosity. "Are you a star?" he asked. Ha-neul chuckled. "No, I'm not a star. But I try to shine my light as best as I can. The boy smiled. I want to be a star too, he said. Ha-neul put his arm around the boy. You can be, he said. You just have to find your light and let it shine. He looked up at the night sky, filled with stars. He knew that the future was in the hands of the next generation, the young people who were dreaming of a better world. He stood up, offering his hand to the boy. Come on, he said. Let's go inside. It's time for dinner. The boy took his hand, and they walked towards the shelter, two figures silhouetted against the night sky. Kang Ha-neul, the man who had been yelled at in the rain, and the young boy who dreamed of becoming a star. Together, they walked towards the future, towards a world filled with hope, compassion, and the enduring power of the human spirit. The legacy of that rainy night lived on, a testament to the fact that even the darkest storms can give way to the brightest rainbows. The tears had watered the seeds of kindness, and the world was blooming. The boy, whose name was Min-jun, became a regular fixture at the shelter. Kang Ha-neul, despite his demanding schedule, made it a point to spend time with him, mentoring him, and encouraging him to pursue his dreams. He saw in Min-jun a reflection of himself, a young person facing adversity, but with a spark of potential waiting to be ignited. Ha-neul discovered that Min-jun was a gifted artist. He saw the world in vibrant colors and had a unique ability to capture its beauty on paper. He encouraged Min-jun to develop his talent, providing him with art supplies and connecting him with local artists who could mentor him. Min-jun flourished under Ha-neul's guidance. His artwork became increasingly sophisticated, and he began to win awards and recognition for his talent. He even had his work displayed in a local art gallery, a moment that filled him with immense pride. As Min-jun grew older, he became an advocate for other underprivileged children, using his art to raise awareness about their struggles and to inspire others to help. He followed in Ha-neul's footsteps, becoming a symbol of hope and inspiration for his community. One day, years after they first met, Min-jun approached Ha-neul with a proposal. He wanted to create a mural on the exterior wall of the Han River Hope Shelter, a vibrant and uplifting artwork that would celebrate the resilience and hope of the families who lived there. Ha-neul was thrilled by the idea. He secured funding for the project and helped Min-jun gather a team of young artists who could assist him. For weeks, Min-jun and his team worked tirelessly on the mural. They painted scenes of families laughing and playing, of children pursuing their dreams, of rainbows arching across the sky. They used vibrant colors and bold strokes, creating a masterpiece that radiated joy and optimism. The unveiling of the mural was a momentous occasion. The entire community gathered to celebrate, including Ms. Park, who was now in her late 80s, but still as sharp and passionate as ever. As Min-jun unveiled the mural, a collective gasp of awe swept through the crowd. The artwork was breathtaking, a testament to the power of art to heal, inspire, and uplift. Ms. Park approached Ha-neul, her eyes shining with tears. You see, Ha-neul SSI, she said softly, you planted a seed of kindness on that rainy night, and it has blossomed into something truly beautiful. Ha-neul smiled. We all played a part, Ms. Park. We all helped to water that seed and to nurture it. He looked at Min-jun, who was standing beside him, beaming with pride. He realized that the legacy of that rainy night would continue to live on, through the lives of the people he had touched, through the art they had created, through the hope they had inspired. The mural became a landmark in the community, attracting visitors from all over the city. It served as a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope can always be found, and that even the darkest storms can give way to the brightest rainbows. Kang Ha-neul continued his work, using his platform to advocate for social justice and to inspire others to make a difference. He never forgot the lessons he had learned from that rainy night, the importance of humility, empathy, and the power of second chances. He often reflected on the events that had led him to this point, the criticism he had faced, the challenges he had overcome. He realized that it was all part of a larger plan, a journey that had transformed him from a flawed individual into a force for good. He was grateful for the opportunity to use his platform to make a difference, and he vowed to continue to do so for as long as he lived. And so, the story of Kang Ha-neul, the man who was yelled at in the rain, became a legend, a tale of redemption, resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit. His next act, and every act thereafter, would be dedicated to making the world a better place, one act of kindness, one act of compassion, one act of love at a time. The tears that night, and all the tears that followed, were a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a spirit that could be broken by the storm, but ultimately, rebuilt by the rainbow. His life became a living rainbow, arcing across the sky, offering hope and inspiration to all who looked upon it. The years rolled on, each one adding another layer to Kang Ha-neul's already rich tapestry of a life. He continued acting, but his choices were more deliberate, more pointed. He sought out roles that highlighted social injustices, characters who embodied resilience in the face of adversity, stories that sparked dialogue and challenged perspectives. He wasn't just an actor anymore, he was a storyteller with a purpose. His foundation, now a global entity, tackled issues ranging from climate change to education reform. He understood that true change required systemic solutions, and he invested heavily in research and development, partnering with scientists, educators, and policymakers to create innovative programs that addressed the root causes of problems. He remained deeply involved with the Han River Hope Shelter, visiting regularly, not just for show, but to genuinely connect with the families and volunteers. He knew their names, their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. He celebrated their milestones, offered support during their hardships, and reminded them that they were not alone. Min-jun, now a renowned artist in his own right, often accompanied Ha-neul on TV.